민주주의의 중심이라는 서방을 비롯한 다수의 해외 주요 방송국은 한국의 탄핵 심판에 큰 관심을 가졌습니다.
I've been surprised by the amount of young students who've come down here to say, we're here with our friends, we're here because
민주주의가 발달한 서방에서조차 대통령이 탄핵되는 경우가 드문데다가 한국과 같이 계엄령 선포 이후에 이러한 탄핵 이후 인용까지 이어지는 장면은 보기가 어렵기 때문이죠. 지난 12월부터 이번 4월까지 이어져온 계엄 이후 탄핵 인용까지 그야말로 긴 시간이었는데요. 외신에서는 한국의 길거리 분위기를 직접 취재하며 또 한 번 크게 놀라는 모습의 반응을 보이며 대한민국 민주주의의 과정에 대해서 다양한 모습을 보이고 있습니다. 영국과 독일, 프랑스 등 주요 방송사들이 한국의 탄핵 심판에 대해 평가한 모습을 살펴보겠습니다.
different pop songs coming on and everybody chanting about the impeachment of Yoon. So certainly this is a very celebratory atmosphere. I've been surprised by the amount of young students who've come down here to say, we're here with our friends, we're here because this is a day of history, this is something that we all need to be a part of. And I asked several people how they feel, and most people here who talked about the hope that they had, that this will bring people together, that this is a decision that shouldn't be made in the name of democracy. No doubt in other parts of Seoul with the protesters who were very angry about what's happened have a different opinion. But the overriding feeling here is one of this needed to happen to be able for the country to move on, for the country to show its democratic values, and now it's about bringing people together and making sure that continues. But I'm sure this is going to be, a challenging few weeks and months ahead. Yeah, I spoke to one student who arrived at 11 p.m. last night, who was sat out on a mat, shoes off, looking comfortable, making sure that they could tune into the announcement when it happened. And one student I spoke to who I said, came out at every single protest for the last 16 weeks. She felt it was very important. She talked about, she's a political science student. She said that there's a real divide in the faculty. Talking about politics has become increasingly difficult. There's really, people are really have very strong opinions on either side. And that, she said, it was something that she felt very sad about this country, and the one thing that was needed was unity, and that's something that's come up time and time again, speaking to people here, that there needs to be some kind of unity going forward. Certainly here, the discussion was that this, what happened in December should never have happened, that the impeachment has now been upheld, and that for the democracy here in Korea is only a good thing. But I mean, it's a very different mood across different parts of Seoul. Here, as I said, this is all about celebrating this decision. There's very little kind of police presence, or certainly very obvious police presence around here. And there are, I'd say, there are thousands and thousands of people. They were coming for the last kind of couple of hours. When we arrived, it wasn't empty, but it was certainly filling up. And now it's absolutely packed. People taking turns to take the stage, to talk about the fact that this decision has been upheld, people still cheering, different pop songs coming on.
In fact, the decision was unanimous, and you can see from the crowd behind me, these are people who had been calling for the impeachment, and you can get a sense of their elation. They're playing music, they're cheering, they've been cheering. Just in the past few minutes, they've been watching a live broadcast from the Constitutional Court. This is the outcome that they wanted. They said that Yoon Suk-yeol broke the rules and needed to be punished accordingly. Now the path of political transition begins. Crowds here are cheering, they're excited. This is the outcome that they wanted. But it's worth remembering that supporters of Yoon Suk-yeol are also on the streets. They're also gathered in their thousands. They have been saying that this process has been politically motivated, and they say that it's been unfair. Now, those people will, of course, be disappointed, but the much larger group of protesters, these people gathered here.
How much has all of this cast a pall over that very well-cultivated image that South Korea has as a modern and vibrant democracy, and how much did all of it remind people in South Korea of the more painful memories of times of dictatorship in the past?
Lasted for a few hours, of course, but it shocked many South Koreans, many of them young South Koreans who had never experienced anything like this. Now, what the people here have been saying is, even though that martial law only lasted for a few hours, it disrupted the image of South Korea as a vibrant and healthy democracy, and as a result, Yoon Suk-yeol needed to be held to account. Now, they will have the chance to elect a new leadership Recent polling suggests that many people became disenchanted with the ruling party as a result of all of this. More than 50% say that there should be a change of government, that there should be a new leader, because they had such a strong sense of disapproval over the actions of Yoon Suk-yeol, who they say essentially violated the powers of the president, who called martial law without reason. Now, South Korea's constitution allows for the president to call for martial law in situations of an emergency, such as a situation of war, not a political one, which Yoon Suk-yeol had attempted to justify calling for martial law, saying that the opposition was essentially blocking parliament from doing anything. But the court today found that that was not reasonable justification to put South Korea in a situation of political crisis.
The Constitutional Court in South Korea has officially ruled to remove impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol from office. Yoon had sparked a political crisis in the country last year after he briefly imposed martial law. Protesters who have been calling for Yoon to leave office cheered as they heard the news. The case has split the country, with millions of supporters and opponents taking to the streets in recent months. Yoon was arrested in January in a massive police operation while thousands of his supporters rallied outside his residence. South Korea's parliament had impeached Yoon for ordering martial law with no justifiable grounds. He also faces multiple criminal charges, including leading an insurrection that could lead to life imprisonment or even execution. Now, journalist Fabian Kretschmer joins me now from Seoul. Fabian, finally a verdict. How was the moment received on the streets of Seoul?
Of course, the Yoon critics, they were happy. I mean, they are demonstrating half a kilometer behind me. I'm in downtown Seoul right now, and of course they are cheering. They wanted Yoon Suk-yeol to be out of office, and they have basically achieved their goal. However, the Yoon supporters, they are sad, and they are actually gathering at a different part of town, actually near the presidential residence. And of course, they are not happy to see the result, but so far, and I think that is the most important news, it has remained peaceful and there are no violent escalations so far.
What's been the reaction from Yoon's party, and what are they telling their supporters?
Yeah, so the first reaction from Yoon's party, from the ruling party, is that they accept the ruling by the Constitutional Court, and that is really an important signal, because if they would give a different message, then Yoon Suk-yeol supporter might feel inspired or might feel emboldened to maybe also take it to the streets with a violent protest. But so far the messaging by the ruling party is that we have to accept the ruling and we have to accept the outcome, and I think that is really important to calm the situation down and to de-escalate things.
이처럼 외신 반응을 보셨는데요. 앞으로 대한민국이 잘 되길 바라며 국내에서도 뜻깊은 소식을 전해드리겠습니다. 최근 해외로부터 뜨거운 극찬을 받고 있는 한국 기업이 있습니다. 감동적이고 놀랐습니다. 우리도 배워야 할 부분이 많다고 생각합니다. 그 연유에는 한국 기업으로 인해 충격적인 사건이 밝혀졌기 때문인데요. 여기 폐지가 가득 찬 리어카를 힘겹게 끌고 가는 노인이 보입니다. 그의 집 앞에는 박스가 가득 쌓여 있고 집 길목까지도 고물들이 쌓여 발 디딜 순조차 보이지 않았는데요. 또한 외부에 있는 공용 화장실은 90대 노인인 그에게 참혹한 환경으로 보입니다. 생활고로 폐지를 팔며 생계를 이어가는 90대 노인. 그는 충격적이게도 한국을 구한 위대한 영웅 중 한 명이었습니다. 그리고 어느 날 해당 소식이 한국 기업에게도 전해졌습니다. 6.25 전쟁 참전용사 군인데 폐지를 줍고 다니세요. 겨울에는 특히 더 힘들어 보이십니다. 그렇게 이 소식이 전해진 지 3일 후 이 기업이 그의 앞에 나타납니다. 이들은 참전용사와 식사, 그리고 폐지를 주우며 하루를 함께하였고 그의 삶을 깊숙이 체감하며 그에게 후원금을 전달했습니다. 그리고 해당 지역의 모든 참전용사들이 모여 식사를 할 수 있도록 매월 식비 지원까지 즉각적으로 결정을 하였습니다. 이 기업의 정체는 인프레시로 작년 부산의 참전용사가 생활고로 반찬거리를 훔쳐 경찰에 입건되자 서울에서 부산까지 한 걸음에 달려가 식료품과 식비를 지원하며 뉴스에 보도된 적도 있을 정도로 국내 곳곳을 돌아다니며 이런 참전용사들에게 끊임없는 후원을 진행하고 있는데요. 더욱 놀라운 건 소수의 인원으로 운영되는 정말 작은 기업에 불과하다는 것이죠. 그럼에도 참전국인 에티오피아, 필리핀, 태국까지 가서 병원을 빌려 의료 지원을 하고 전쟁 중 다치기 전의 순간을 돌려주는 말도 안 되는 놀라운 후원도 진행하고 있습니다. 이에 해외에서도 한국 기업의 행보에 놀라움을 감추지 못하며 연일 보도를 이어가고 있는 것인데요. 그리고 그 화제의 중심에는 이 기업에 동참한 우리 국민들의 행보입니다. 한국을 지켜낸 참전용사들의 현실을 알게 된 여러 한국인들이 인프레시에게 후원 창구를 문의하였고, 이에 참전용사에게 후원이 되는 굿즈를 출시하며 한국인들이 동참을 하기 시작한 것인데요. 이 태극기 키링을 통해서 말이죠. 해당 키링은 6.25 전쟁 참전용사들의 실제 서명 태극기를 그대로 구현해낸 것으로 간절한 염원이 담겨 있습니다. 인프레시는 오랜 시간 한길만 파온 장인과 협업해 빛에 따라 굴곡이 보일 정도로 서명의 디테일함을 보여주고 있으며 모든 이들이 일상 속 역사를 새길 수 있도록 하고 있는데요. 또한 단순한 굿즈를 넘어 어려운 환경의 참전 용사들에게 수익금 일부를 후원하고 기업명이 아닌 한국인들의 이름을 전하며 모두가 함께하는 후원을 만들고 있습니다. 그렇게 저희 역시 이 행보에 동참하는 것을 통해 많은 참전 용사분들의 생활이 개선되기를 바라고 있습니다. 개개인의 힘이 모여 큰 기적을 만들어갈 수 있다고 생각합니다. 많은 동참 부탁드리며 고정 댓글에 키링을 확인할 수 있는 링크를 남겨두겠습니다. 트래블튜브였습니다. 감사합니다.